it might catch on fire and all go terribly wrong. I don't know. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I'll be sharing with you a little project I have going on. I'm gonna be making some leather cup coasters here. So I'm gonna show you guys everything that goes into doing this. I'm gonna be using my laser engraver today. So I'm gonna show you guys the actual, how I make the file. It's really simple, it's not hard. If you guys know how to use Photoshop, or you could probably even use Microsoft Paint if you wanted. It's just making a JPEG file and making sure that you get it sized correctly. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to figure out what size I actually want to make these cup coasters. I did a little bit of measuring around and I found out that if I make them 3 3/4 inches, that should fit most standard size cups. That's even going up to some bigger size coffee mugs. That should still fit fine. So the first step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut by hand 4 by 4 inch squares out of the leather, so that gives me enough room that if I mess up, if I don't get it exactly on, gives me a little bit of room for error. So it's not a whole lot, but it's just enough. You don't want to waste the leather either. It's kind of expensive. So I'm gonna get that cut, and then I'm gonna show you guys what it takes to actually make the file. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna make this file. So I'm gonna open up a new file. I'm gonna make it 4 inches by 4 inches. Okay, and then I'm gonna open up the file that I want to use. I'm gonna do my logo here, so I'm gonna hit a Control A, copy that, paste it here, and I'm just gonna scale this down to get it where I want it. And then I'm gonna make this a round coaster. So I'm gonna come up here, type in 3 3/4 is about what I want when it's all finished. So 3.75. Just gonna let that snap to the center. And then I'm gonna take this down just a little bit. I'm gonna use this as my actual cut line that I'm gonna use whenever I actually cut this out. So what I'm gonna do is make another circle. Make this one 3.5. Let it snap to the center. So just to go over what I did so far, created a new file that was 4 inches by 4 inches. I made a 3 3/4 inch circle, and then made a 3.5 inch circle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along this outer line whenever this is actually finished. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this inside line here as a decorative line. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to change this to a dashed line like that, just to make it look a little bit cooler. That looks pretty good. I'm going to save this as a JPEG, and then that's going to be it. Okay, so I got the file in the computer here. I'm going to copy it over to my hard drive. Okay, so there the file is. It's all good to go. Double check your output size. Make sure it's what it's supposed to be. So for some reason, whenever I soaked this leather, it got a bunch of weird splotches on it. So I'm still gonna go with it, see how it looks, see how it turns out. But so one thing I did have to change was the output size. It didn't automatically get it right for some reason. So I changed that to the 4 inches by 4 inches. Set the origin. Okay, so just to give you guys a little update, this thing was in the middle of engraving that first cup coaster that you saw. It was just taking way too long. I had the feed rate at 2000 and the power level pretty low. It looked great, but it was just taking way too long, and my leather was drying out and the edges were curling up. So I tried to put a little bit of water on it, which wasn't a good idea. And this leather, it has some sort of like dye or coating on it. And whenever I did that, it just repelled off the top. So I tried to dry it off, and whenever I did that, I accidentally moved the leather from the actual laser. It jacked it all up. So what I tried to do after that was tried to speed up the feed rates. I'll show you guys. Tried 1000%, not percent, I don't even know what units they are, but 1000 on the power, which was max power. Maybe that's milliwatts, I don't know. And then I tried 500 and 250. Looks like 250 came out the best. I might dial it back a little bit more from there, maybe 235. But what I'm gonna try now is to see if I can actually cut out a circle in this leather, so that way I don't have to try to use scissors to cut out the outline of this. So I don't know, we'll see. It might catch on fire and all go terribly wrong, I don't know, but we'll find out here in a couple minutes. Every time I say it's not catching fire, it starts catching fire. So what I'm gonna do now is, I have a couple other pieces soaking. I'm going to try to staple the corners down to that piece of wood that I was using, and hopefully that'll keep everything from curling up on the edges. I experimented with some different feed rates and speeds too. I'll throw them in here, but I think I'm gonna still go back to the 2000 on the feed rate and the speed, and the 125 for the power. That gave me the best results. I'm still gonna have to cut this out by hand, but I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller than the 4 inches this time, just so that I have a little bit more room whenever I go to cut this out. It's gonna take a little while. I was at like 20 minutes before whenever I noticed the edges were curling up. Just let it do its thing. So can't be too impatient here. Take some time. The results that I got with turning up the power, just, I wasn't happy with them. Little update here. So there's my settings. 125 on the laser, 2000 on the feed rate, and 0.1 at the resolution. About 41% done. I think it said it was going to take about 28 minutes. So if that's true, we'll see. It's coming out pretty nice though, pretty happy. Definitely stapling down the edges was definitely the way to go. Let this finish up. Okay, I literally just finished up. Looks pretty good. Going to take it off the board there and get it cut out. See how it looks. Came out pretty cool. What I'm gonna do now is get these staples out and then do my final cut. Okay, so I smoothed that out a little bit on the belt sander. Came out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So that's pretty much gonna wrap up today's video. You got to see how I create the file. You also got to see a couple things, what not to do whenever you're trying to engrave a coaster. Hopefully some of this will help you guys out that have these machines. I know some of you guys were asking about it, asking me to make more videos on this laser. So stapling the leather down definitely helped. I probably went a little bit crazier than I had to with the staples, but as long as it takes to actually get this thing to engrave, I didn't want to take the chance of it curling up again. One other thing I did want to mention, my final settings on this, the resolution was 0.1, the feed rate was 2000, and the max laser power was 125. Like I said, I can go the whole way up to 1000 on that. You saw, if I put the video in, of it actually catching the leather on fire there a little bit. So it's definitely pretty powerful. So I think those settings work best for me. So if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe. I got a bunch of different videos, not just on lasers or engraving, but a bunch of different stuff. So check out my channel, and I'll catch you next time. Later.